guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. It's Friday. We're live, so you know what that means. It's a Kimo special. What's happening, Kimo?
Yeah! What's going on, bro?
Good to have you on, man. Good to be chopping it up before this big fight. It was a shame that we didn't have a show on Monday, but I hope this makes up to all the people that didn't have us for their commute on a Tuesday morning or Tuesday evening. We're going to obviously be talking about a big fight. It's a fight for the hardcores, man. Like, if you look at Sky, nothing, because Sky haven't got the fight. Box Nation obviously have been pumping it, but it is a fight for the hardcores, for the people that actually know about boxing, rather than the people that get hyped off of David Haye and Tony Bellew and, you know, all Eddie Hearn's bullshit that he spouts all the time. But we're going to get into Lomachenko and Rigondeaux. But Kimo, should we just recap over last weekend? The retirement of a legend?
Yeah, man, I definitely want to spend some time to talk about the fight, and also just talk a little bit about Miguel Cotto, given that it's his retirement fight. And yeah, you've always been quite a big fan, so I'm also curious to get your take, man. But yeah, let's start with a recap of the fight first.
So yeah, your thoughts on the fight overall? And I don't know, you're not a big fan of Bunce, and I think it was because it was his last fight and he was retiring, but he said he had Cotto for a couple of rounds. I thought it was a clear Saddam Ali fight. What did you think?
Did he really? I didn't even know he said that. Wow, I keep seeing crazy shit after crazy shit from this guy on Twitter. But anyway, let's talk about the fight first. It was actually quite an entertaining fight. I mean, it kind of flew by me as soon as it got announced. I think me and the rest of the world were basically saying, okay, you know, he's bringing up a welterweight with a glass chin. You know, like, this is going to be a one-sided hammering, and he's going to sail off into the sunset, and that's it for Miguel Cotto. And we got exactly the opposite, and I don't think anybody could have predicted this. Saddam Ali looked sturdy. He looked good at the weight. He was very solid. You know, he had his legs were still there, and there was just a lot of pop behind his punches, man. And I was surprised how many times he visibly hurt Cotto, just like everybody else. Like, I think I saw a good 3 moments where Cotto was doing a little dance, and it was often the shots that were landing kind of on the temple. And I think the whole issue started with a shot that was kind of behind the ear, like a bit of a looping punch.
Yeah. And
the funny thing is that Saddam Ali was the one hurting him, and the other way around barely happened. So it's very strange. I don't know quite what to think of it. Is Miguel, you know, just aged all of a sudden overnight? I think he's been gradually aging anyway in his career, but he did seem a bit hesitant to pull the trigger in the first few rounds. I don't know if that was due to Saddam hurting him early on, but I don't know. His jab looked a little weak. Normally, Cotto has got quite a stiff jab, and it just you know, he wasn't throwing it with authority. And then as the rounds progressed, you know, in the middle rounds, he kind of started landing left hook to the body a little bit, but it never had that venom behind it like it used to. And yeah, at the end of the fight, Saddam just took complete control again and just let his hands go, which was beautiful to watch, actually. And overall, it was a good fight, man. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think there should be any doubt as to who won the fight. I think it's a clear Saddam Ali victory, right?
Yeah, clear for me. I think throughout the fight, he did a lot of the cleaning work, especially early on. I was surprised how well just the straight punches were working, the 1-2, the shots that were hurting him. And yeah, you said the shot behind the ear. Every time Cotto did the little dance, it was top of the head or behind the ear, that type of shot. And I think throughout the whole fight, maybe just once, I think there was a shot, a straight right from Cotto in the 6th round that kind of, you know, staggered Ali, but nothing where, you know, he was on the Vargas tip where he was going to get stopped or anything like that. And I just think throughout the fight, Ali took a page out of the Trout playbook that he used against Cotto. Well, just a lot of movement. If you look at it, like, he was always moving. It was 1-2, maybe left hook and then move. There was few instances where maybe in the later rounds when his feet were slowing down, where Ali was, you know, standing target. He was always moving left, right, lateral, and it just felt Cotto couldn't pin him down. Yeah, Miguel did look a bit slower, which is inevitable. His age has got up there. He's been inactive. Yeah, he fought recently, but before that he's had long gaps. And I think, Father Time caught up to him. Plus he had a guy that was moving a lot, and Cotto struggles with movement at times.
He does. He does seem to struggle a little bit with him, but in the past he's always been, on the other hand, good at kind of slowing these guys down, into the later rounds, and that didn't happen. In fact, what I saw happen, I didn't see any fatigue or him slowing down. I just saw Saddam Ali getting more confidence, and you could even see his corner. I think it was around the after the 10th round. I was really surprised by the corner advice, because I did not expect to hear that from Saddam Ali's corner, to basically say, dude, next time you see him visibly hurt, do not let him off the hook. Like, this is your fight.
That was right, though, because he was letting him off the hook. There were times, like those shots we've talked about, where Ali kind of backed off, and you're like, yo, you got him hurt, man, jump on him.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I'd probably advise the same thing, but it's just kind of surreal, to have a guy like Saddam Ali, in that kind of a position against Cotto. It's just strange, It's like, what is happening here? It's like an alternative reality. And yeah, he just hurt him so many times. Again, Cotto is obviously a veteran, so he knows how to survive. But, I don't know, man. It's just very strange. I think they might have had a feeling as well that if they didn't really at least drop the guy, they would get robbed on the scorecards, right? You're an MSG. It's his farewell fight. You're going to have to really put a pasting on him in order to get the decision. So I think the corner was aware of that as well, and they were trying to push this guy, like, come on, man, keep throwing punches and have at it. And yeah, you could see his dad as well. He's just giving corner advice all the time, telling him, dude, you can hurt him. You can hurt him. Yeah. And it's such an incredible turn of events, man. I'm happy for Saddam, by the way, man. Like, he seems like a good guy, and he's always been very, very flawed. And a lot of people took the piss out of him for getting iced by Jesse Vargas. But this is a complete redemption story. He just beat a legend. Took a title. He's a world champion, and now he's, the whole division is basically on the lookout for him, right? Because, yeah, if you're a contender, you obviously want to go for Saddam Ali at 154.
Kimo, you being based in the UAE as well. Now the fight's on, man. This big Dubai fight. We got Saddam Ali versus Amir Khan. It has to happen.
Oh man, you mentioned that to me earlier, but I don't know. I know Amir would actually, believe it or not, I think he would probably get a following over here. I'm not quite sure about Saddam. Amir is always here acting rich. I don't know if he still is, but yeah, Saddam, I don't know, he just strikes me more as a New Yorker. He trains with boys out there, Curtis Stevens and all that. So I think I'd probably make a defense in New York. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what his future is in that division, man, because as Leon would say, he looks like food to a lot of people, I can imagine.
Yeah, but quickly, just going back to a few points you made regarding the corner advice, I hate just too many voices in the corner. Like, he should be Andre Rozier, his trainer, and that's it. And there's a guy in his ear. As soon as Andre's finished, he's telling him another 10 things to do. It's not professional, man. You just want one voice giving a few basic things and let him catch his breath, give him some water. That's it. But I've said that many a time, so I'm not going to go.
Who's the second person?
I don't know who it was. It was the black dude in his ear, just kind of like peeping through the ropes, and he was just like giving him more stuff after Andre's already. Give him a roasting. It's, man, like, chill, man. Don't tell him too many things. But a few other things. As much as, I don't say I used to like Cotto, but he did become a diva. I think he kind of deserved him right this, because he did kind of do a cherry pick. Yeah, it was the last fight, but there's a lot better guys you could have fought. And with the bicep injury or not, you could have took a better fight. You decided not to, so you've lost in your final fight. So that's on you. But like you said about Ali, the way his father was looking at him when Max was interviewing him, like, he looked so proud, man, and I felt so good for Ali, because as much as we disregard belts these days, you know, it's still something, it means a lot to boxers. And for him to become a world champion, to beat a legend, Miguel Cotto, in Barclays, he's from New York, you know, it's a kind of farewell story, it's a fairy tale story, Kimo. It's kind of amazing, really, man. So, big credit to him. And his performance was very good. It's not like Miguel fucking hurt his knee like Sergio and he was fighting a one-legged man. Yeah, Miguel got an injury, but he still beat a very credible opponent who, you know, who's going to go down in probably first ballot Hall of Famer. So, props to Ali.
Yeah, man, this is a total, like, come from behind, or at least come from the fucking gutter, you know, like, Cinderella story. Because, like you said, we might shit on titles a lot, but this is big for him, right? This is going to do a lot of things for him and just completely open up his career again. It's going to make him earn a lot more money than he's done in the past. And he beat a legit fucking legend for a world championship, you know? So this is not some vacant belt that he picked up fighting against a bum like we see in other parts of the world. You know, this is a huge accomplishment. And I almost thought it was kind of funny how I don't think it really sunk in when the decision got read. Like, he realized he won and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, he didn't really start celebrating crazily as probably he will do afterwards. Like, it was almost like a surreal moment for him.
Well, I did read that he did expect to kind of get robbed, you know, like to your point about, you know, his farewell fight, and he thinks, well, you know, it's a close fight. I've fought Cotto in the Garden. I'm probably going to get robbed. So I think he just expected it, which is horrible in a way, but it's nice when the right guy wins.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And I think this is the kind of, you know, we talk a lot about robberies in boxing, but this is the kind of performance that you put in that prevents you from getting robbed, frankly. Like, I don't want to dismiss other people that have been robbed in the past, but like, if you look at what Saddam Ali was doing and the way his corner was instructing him, you know, they were not pulling a Marquez here where they're basically coasting a little bit, being defensive and be like, oh, you're clearly winning this fight, you know, don't worry. Like, that's just fucking naive and stupid, right? He was putting it on, like, and he was, you know, his output was cumulatively getting better and higher, you know, in the later rounds, which is exactly what you do, you know, you continuously hurt a guy. He didn't even drop him, but he put such a performance on that, in my opinion, there was no way that could really rob him, right? Because visually, you just can't go around it. You see a guy stumbling across the ring, there's no doubt, you know. Like, I know we have a lot of corruption in boxing, but, you know, just for the record, you know, this is how you fucking put your stamp on a fight. You know, this is how you go in, give it your all, and you leave no doubt. You know, I don't think Saddam could have done any more than what he did. It was a really, really great performance. I want to ask you one thing, Cam. How did you think he looked physically, and how did you think he like moved like at this weight? Because I thought he looked pretty damn sturdy.
Yeah, I think he did as well. Maybe he was just kind of draining at 147. We don't know, but he didn't look body beautiful. Like, he was in shape, but he didn't look cut up. But if he's healthy and his legs under him, yeah, I think he was good. His feet were really good, man. His movement throughout the night was excellent, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that physically he looked very, very solid, you know, like he wasn't cut or whatever, and his waist also seemed a little bit thicker, you know, like he just had more mass to him, and it didn't impact his movement. I thought he looked really, really well. One thing I do gotta say, I'm sorry, I just gotta mention it. I did see, like, I don't know if you noticed it, but he's got some back knee going on. I don't know if that's been there in the past, but I'm just saying. I did notice that when there were a few close-ups. I was like,
You might be like me, right? Bro. You might just eat a lot of M&Ms and get those pimples on the back, bro.
Yeah, you would know, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm an expert at that shit. But one final point I want to make. I know you may want to add some more later, Kimo, but the feed I got, Box Nation, the international feed, it had Dave Bon Tempo on commentary, and it also had a guy I never heard before called Tony Page, and he was excellent, man. Like, I was really impressed with his commentary. He was straight to the point. He was giving shit to someone if they needed it, and he was giving props to someone if they needed it. I'm not just talking about the Cotto fight, but during the undercard as well. So really impressed with him. I hope he gets to commentate on a lot of future fights.
Okay, this was on the Box Nation feed. Okay, I mean, if there's a new commentator in town, you know me, I'm a commentator aficionado, so I'll definitely go check him out. Then I'll just rewatch the fight just for that.
Yeah, man, it's worth.
Does he have a good voice though? Does he?
He does. Excitement? He sounds like a baritone version of Steve Farhood. Even though Farhood's quite baritone anyway, he takes it to another level.
Okay, so he's more of a color guy then, right? He's not a play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see. I'll check it out.
No problem. And you were talking about where does Ali go now? I don't know if the immediate thing is his mandatory. So if that is, then it's going to be Liam Smith. It's going to be beefy, bro.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I think the Smith-Williams rematch was for the shot at the title, basically. God
damn it. This guy's going to get another title shot. Oh, man. The sad thing is that, this was against Cotto. I don't know how he looks against other guys, but I give Smith a chance to win that, obviously, because Ali is just a bit of an unknown at 154. I don't know, if this was really due to Cotto just fading a lot or him just looking really good at the weight. So, I don't know, man. Let's just hope that Smith doesn't get another world championship, because that motherfucker needs to put at the bottom of the barrel. Seriously.
All jokes aside, what do you think about Warren? Like, you think Warren will try and bring him over here?
That's a good question, actually. I think it's more of a question of what Ali wants to do. If I don't know how much Warren would honestly pay him. Like, Smith is not that big of a draw in the UK, so I don't know how much money there is for Ali to come over to the UK, right? If this was Hearn trying to get a title shot for Brooke or something, I'm pretty sure that they would pay him up a little bit, even though people always say that Hearn's a tight cunt. But for this kind of a situation, I think he'll give him a good payday,
I totally agree about Beefy not being a draw, but is Ali a draw in New York, really? I don't think so. If he gets bigger money to come over, I think if he's clever and they can negotiate independent judges, none from the UK and a non-UK ref, then I would be comfortable in Ali coming over, because you're going to get better money.
But Cam, are the referees, are the judges ever really, on paper not neutral? Like, they usually are, right? But people still get robbed. I think it's just, for Ali, there needs to be a serious incentive to come to the UK. It is what it is. It's not the best reputation at the moment. So I wouldn't necessarily be that eager to come over if I was his management, right? Yes, he's not a draw in New York, but at least you're on home soil, right? So that gives you an advantage. And, you can at least kind of strategize it out so that you can have a few defenses. And again, that's a lot more money in the bank, man. It's a world title now. So it has a lot of benefits for him. I wouldn't necessarily, after you finally win that world title, go fight Liam Smith in fucking in the Echo Arena or something like that. So
I love how
that wouldn't be my first choice.
I love how you know that the arena is called the Echo Arena. You kind of even though you're not British, you're kind of British to me, man, because you know all our little bullshit things.
And I drink Lucozade, mate. No, I'm British.
Jazz asked a question. He said Ali got rocked by a 40% Cotto right hand, and I asked him, what do you mean 40%? And he said it was an arm punch. Ali's going to get knocked out. He can't handle a pressure fighter. Smith will stop him. What do you think?
Okay, but let me just jump in right there. Smith is not really a pressure fighter, even though he likes to think he is, right? I mean, this guy's not exactly Antonio Margarito. He's very passive, and he won't do jack shit for the first 6 rounds. So I wouldn't really call him a pressure fighter. He's just one of these Gallagher high guard types that, makes it look like he's really putting a lot of pressure on his opponents. But really, it's not that much, honestly. Like, I think Ali would be able to deal with him possibly, but yeah, I mean, I do have questions around his chin, and Beefy might not be a big puncher, but he can always land a shot on Ali that changes the entire momentum. Like, again, we've seen it with Jesse Vargas, right? So it's difficult to say, man. But I have a question, Cam. Taking mandatories aside, I heard the mention of a possible Kell Brook fight versus Saddam Ali. What do you think about that?
That's a good fight, but I think it's a bad look for Ali because Kell's got a really good straight right, man. If his eyeballs can hold up, then yeah. If his eye sockets don't break.
Yeah. But he's going to make a comeback soon, isn't he, Kell? I don't know when. I read something on Twitter.
Yeah, Slimy Hearn. He can't just tweet and say, well done, Saddam Ali. He has to say, well done, Saddam Ali. Kell Brook's going to fight in March, and then maybe you and him can fight. He's always like, he's just slimy, man. It's like, can't you just give the guy props? Why do you have to mention your bummy fucking fighter? Seriously, man.
Because he's rubbing his hands together and realizing that finally there's a way out for Brook's career, which is totally down the fucking toilet, right?
Yeah, because he threw him in with a line?
Huh?
Because he threw him in with a line and broke his fucking eye socket?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw that in the Eubank interview the other day. Like, he said it best. Like, he just threw him in a fucking lion's den, and that's it. Like, you basically fucked your fighter over real good, regardless of whether he wanted the fight or not. Like, it's not really a good career plan. But no, but he's stuck, right? I mean, he probably can't make 147 anymore, and at 154, I just don't see Brook taking the punches. Like, I just can't. And then you have a complete upset. I mean, let's face it, this was a massive upset happen, and you get a belt holder now who's a potential opponent. So I get where Hearn's coming from, man. He's jumping on that shit straight away to start making the fight. So I don't blame him, Cam. He's a fucking promoter. What do you expect?
Yeah, but it's funny because I found the tweet. He says, "Congrats to the great win of at Real World Kid Ali," because that's his Twitter handle. Then hyphen Special K Brook back early March. Then he's coming for your 154 crown at Golden Boy Boxing, at HBO Boxing, and blah blah blah. And then a week before that, they were saying, "Oh, Brook wants Charlo, he wants Lara, he wants Heard." Yeah. Not now. But that's
all
classic.
Of a sudden he wants Saddam Ali, huh?
That's classic Eddie. But you got anything more?
He knows that he doesn't want one of them lions, That's going to work out bad for him. So.
Exactly. You got anything more you want to talk about regarding this fight, Ali, Cotto? Just a bit on Cotto, man. Amazing career, I think. There are asterisks when you look throughout it, but the guy's been a great servant to boxing, man. So much respect to him. I wish him a happy retirement.
Yeah, I mean, he's given us a lot of fantastic fights. I've never interacted with Cotto, obviously, so I don't really give a shit about the fact that he had a weird reputation with fans and with people and some media. People have always said that he's a bit arrogant and all of that. And also in terms of his, the way he managed his career, yes, he was a little bit of a cherry picker in the end, but I mean, he did have a fucking glorious career. Now, in terms of accomplishment, obviously, with the multiple weight classes and the first Puerto Rican to do it, he's just also made a shitload of money, Cam. Like that contract he had with Rock Nation, the way he's just made a lot of money towards the second half of his career. I hope that his health, despite all the wars that he's had, is pretty much okay, and he can retire happily and enjoy the time with his family. One thing I've always noticed watching his fights is that his family is fucking miserable when he fights. Like, you see some people, if I can think of an example, for example, like Terrence Crawford's family, right? Obviously they're worried that their dude's fighting, but they kind of seem to get into it. They're cheering and they're getting into it with the crowd. Like they enjoy the whole event. But Cotto's family is just, I think they despise the fact, what he does, just because they're so worried and fearful of what might happen, especially his wife. So in that sense, I do hope that finally he has a happy retirement and stays retired. Like, there's no need to come back. just enjoy your life. You've made a shitload of fucking money, enjoy your beautiful house in Puerto Rico and your wife's big hooters and just fucking chill out, man. Like, there's no need to take more damage,
If I ever make another outro, that's going into it. Enjoy your wife's
Well, they're there on display every fight, Cam, you know what I mean? It's like, come home, daddy, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be fighting anymore. Jesus Christ, man.
Shit, that's amazing, man. I've got to make a new outro. That's going inside it.
But I want to quickly touch on his career, though, right? Because you said that he's had a wonderful career. I want to ask you, like, what do you think is his best win?
I said it that day, I think, on that Monday show we had. I think it's probably Mosley. Up until that point, like, Mosley was still pretty good. He only had a few losses, and I think Mosley's probably his best win.
The funny thing is, though, like, even though that was a good win, it was still a very close fight, right? And he got busted up as well in that fight. Cotto has never really, I mean, who has he really blown out? Yeah, the Sergio Martinez fight, obviously, but
Asterix.
Yeah, and he's for the amount of wars that this guy has been in, like, it's I'm surprised he's lasted this long. Because I wanna quickly reminisce as well about Cotto after the Pacquiao fight. Because I clearly remember that everybody was writing him off. Like, oh, this is not the same Cotto anymore. After the Margarito 1 fight, he's already fucking done. And then Pacquiao basically, beat him down for a good solid, 9-10 rounds. And then basically everybody was writing him off. Like, everybody was saying, like, yo, man, this guy is fucking done. And then you look at the career he's had after that. I mean, he rematched Margarito. He fought Mayweather. He fought Sergio Martinez. He fought Austin Trout. Yes, he's had a couple of, easy touches in there. He fought fucking Alvarez. Like, he's made a hell of a career after those 2 fights. And I must say, that's quite a big surprise for me always along the way. Like, he always seemed to be maybe physically fading a little bit, but never to the point that people said. So, like, he's always managed to kind of reinvent himself a little bit. And especially once he teamed up with Freddie Roach, like, I don't know. Yes, he fought a Delvin Rodriguez and a Daniel Geale who looked like a fucking corpse, but he did have that aggressiveness back in there, with the left hook. Like, he did look like he was almost a new fighter, and at least maybe an old fighter. He looked like the old Cotto a little bit. And yes, he's changed trainers many times, but I was always very surprised by how Cotto just manages to keep his career going. It's quite impressive, and it hasn't been a conservative career, Cam. You know what I mean? Like, with a guy like Mayweather, it doesn't surprise me because he's always lived a certain life, and he's always been very conservative and very healthy after fights. And Cotto has not. He's gotten the shit beaten out of him many, many times. So he is a resilient guy, man. I got to give him that. And yeah, for me, he will definitely go into the Hall of Fame. I think he's just one of this generation's main guys. Part of the Pacquiaos and the Mayweathers.
And quickly, just answering your own question, what do you think Cotto's best win is then?
Well, that's a very difficult question. I think the Mosley win is okay. I don't think it's that, I don't think it's a defining win, to be honest. And Mosley wasn't the youngest even at the time. I know he fought for a fucking long time, but it wasn't exactly a prime Mosley.
Yeah. I love the Marg 2 fight. The only problem is it's got asterisks because Pacquiao kind of fucked his eye up before that. So it's like, well, if his eye wasn't bust already, would he Cotto have done so much damage? So it's difficult.
And the stoppage was really bad, right? I really, really hated the stoppage. But again, Margarito's eye looked like a fucking cyborg's eye. Like, it didn't look right. So I kind of get it. But on the other hand, I kind of don't, because he got sanctioned to fight with that, right? So if you got sanctioned, then don't fucking bullshit during the fight. Give the people what they want. And what they wanted to see were those last couple of rounds, right? That's the biggest question, like, what's going to happen down the stretch. and the whole atmosphere in that arena as well was really, really like tense. Like the build up, everything. It was a really good rematch. I really enjoyed it, and it was sad to see it end that way. But I don't know, man. He doesn't really have for me, the type of defining wins that Pacquiao or Mayweather had. Like he was, for example, one of Pacquiao's defining wins, right? I thought that was fucking incredible what he did.
Yeah.
But he's never really taken a elite fighter out in a dramatic and spectacular way where he just, arrives at the scene. I know Naota mentioned the Ricardo Torres fight, but again, it's Ricardo Torres. It was a great fight, but it's not, he's not taking somebody's name. He hasn't done, for example, what Saddam Ali did, where he takes a legend and then basically that propels him into stardom. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to pick. I don't think he really will go into the Hall of Fame based on victories. I think it will just do that on overall resumes and who he's fought. Yeah. And then at the amount of weight classes. And, there aren't many people that he hasn't fought in this era. Name me one. Like, who do you want to name? Like Paul Williams, maybe he hasn't fought. But he was at much lower weight classes at the time. So, yeah, of those key dangerous fighters, he's pretty much fought all of them. And yeah, man, it's been a hell of a career and really, really great fights. Even though I do watch him often at his expense, where he's getting slaughtered by Margarito, but yeah.
That's just your blood hungry self, though. That's more about you than anyone else.
No, it's not just that. I mean, I've seen bloodier fights, but it's just the drama of that fight, right? That first Margarito fight, it's just incredible, and that to me is what boxing is all about. It's about taking another man's will, and just breaking him down mentally and physically. Like that's fucking drama at its highest. Like I love watching that, and it's the ultimate shift styles as well. Just a guy trying to avoid this fucking tornado that's coming at you. Amazing fight. I think I've watched it like 50 times at least. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling about Cotto's career. He's done a fantastic job, and let him enjoy his retirement.
Happy retirement. Okay, any other fights you want to talk about over the weekend, or should we just...
Cam, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing anything, so you might be on mute.
No, I'm definitely talking. Let me... Are you back, Kimo? Yeah, you've got that issue again, Kimo, where you're a bit electronic at the start of the call, so to save you that, I can quickly just talk about... this fight that was on Channel 5 over the weekend, and hopefully your line will come back. So yeah, it was Anthony Yigit versus Joe Hughes. Bit of egg on my face. I thought Hughes was going to do a bit better than I thought. Multiple reasons. He started off well. He was on the inside. I knew about his disability when I first seen him fight Cattrall, but I didn't know he was so limited in the movement of that right arm. I thought it was more that one arm was a lot smaller than the other. So yeah, I didn't know that part, and it kind of showed with Yigit. Yigit, initially he was struggling in the first 2 rounds, but when he adjusted and started moving more, making kind of Hughes pin him down, which he couldn't really do, Yigit was a lot more impressive. I still got, asterisks next to Yigit. I didn't think he was turning from the waist. It was a lot of arm punches. 11th and 12, his coach was saying, yeah, you can stop this guy, go out, throw a lot. And to my surprise, like, he had so much energy left in the 11th and 12th round, and he was throwing so much punches. He was trying to get Hughes out of there, and Hughes had a great chin. Like, he was taking the shots. He wasn't really getting hurt, but they were slowing him down. You could see it visibly, but yeah, pretty decent fight overall. Yigit kind of in his post-fight didn't want to say that he's up for the Josh Taylor fight, so maybe he's going to go into a different direction. But yeah, props to Hughes, and props to Yigit. He was better than I thought. He still can't really fight on the inside, I don't think. But he showed that he's got the lateral movement, and he can kind of box and move. So hopefully Kimo's line will be a bit more clearer now. Are you back, Kimo? No, he's still a bit robotic, bro. Hopefully he'll try to come back. But I'm not going to add Leon again because it kind of, I think, ruined the issue before. So, yeah, what else was there? Our girl, Chantel, was back against Vivian Obanuf. Obanuf was terrible technique. She's come forward trying, but she was just taking so many shots. Chantel was just kind of letting off. But even with Chantel, when she kind of just goes for the kills, her technique kind of goes out the window as well. It was kind of fun to watch, but after a bit, it just seems like two people fighting outside of a pub on a Friday night, man. It's more of a street fight than actual technique. So, Luke Watkins versus Mike Stafford was a fun fight. Stafford, kind of the old veteran journeyman, catching Watkins with right hands over the top of the jab, like Richie Rudhall mentioned it numerous times, that Watkins would shoot the jab and the arm would come back to the chest rather than to the, as he likes to say, the on guard position, which I like, man. I like that term, the on guard position. And yeah, Watkins was getting caught with it, but then he started to break Stafford down slowly. He had a pretty bad cut under his, I think it was his left eye, that was caused by a kind of nice uppercut that Watkins landed. Jermaine Smile versus Lennox Clark was a fun fight. Clark dropped him, I think, in the ninth round or something, touchdown. But that was pretty fun. And that's about it for the Channel 5 card. Kimo, talk a bit. Let's hear your voice now. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm going to hang up on you and try calling you back, bro. Kimo's Abu Dhabi internet is not paying for the best internet over there, I don't think. Cheapskate. Go on, Kimo, try talking now. Yeah, it's still pretty bad. I'll continue to talk a bit. I'll just go back to the Ali card then before we start previewing Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. So the undercard, they had a pretty good fight between Ray Vargas and Oscar Negrete. Negrete reminded me of a fighter we talked about a couple of weeks ago. He was a bit like Laborio Solis, and no, Lim, if you're listening to the podcast tomorrow, I didn't say Laborio Solis, I said Laborio Solis. But yeah, Negrete just kind of go after Vargas, kind of sit on his chest, throw as many punches as he can, and Vargas was using his length, using his height, keeping him at the end of a jab. But one thing I love about Vargas is, for such a tall guy, most tall guys kind of just box him to the head and kind of move, but he really goes to the body, man. Loads of hooks and uppercuts to the body, which I love to see, man. Very unorthodox way for a guy of his height and range to fight, but it's nice to see, man, that you don't have to fight within the style of your body. You can fight the way you want to fight. And yeah, he suffered some bad cuts of both eyes. I thought the fight was going to get stopped at one point, but his corner did a good job and dealt with the cuts pretty well. And it was a pretty decent fight overall. There was another guy that Naota was jumping on the bandwagon of, Angel Acosta. He fought Juan Alejo. Acosta, I don't know whether he had a big rat tail or if it was a mullet. I'm sitting on the fence, man. I'd probably go for a big rat tail, but it was verging on mullet. But he was pretty good, man. He's pretty powerful. He was hurting Alejo with his left hooks. This was the vacant WBO World Light Flyweight title, and then he managed to catch him with a left hook right on his nose, man, right on the button, delayed effect. He kind of dropped, like his legs just went. He got up, but yeah, he wasn't the same. And then and the fight stopped, and pretty decent performance by Acosta. But I don't know if he's going to be one of these guys that he kind of looks good on the first time you see him, and then when he fights someone decent, then you don't get the best of him. But we'll see. Right, Kimo, fingers crossed your line is better now. Kind of went over, you may have heard me go over some stuff, so let's just preview Lomachenko Rigo then, Kimo. I'm so torn. Normally, mentally I have an idea of how a fight's going to go, but with this one, there's just multiple ways I can see it going.
Man, it's a really, really difficult fight to predict. I spent today kind of looking at some old fights of them, and especially for Rigondeaux, I looked at the Donaire fight. I watched them side by side at the presser as well, which gave me a little bit of confidence in my idea that Rigondeaux is going to make this a more difficult fight than some of the skeptics think. There's just a lot of different aspects of this. I think we should break it down in sections, and then we kind of go from there. Let's first talk about the size, man, because I think that's one of the biggest issues that people have with this fight. How do you think that's going to play? And do you think Lomachenko is really going to actually use this size advantage? And I thought, looking at them side by side, I didn't see anything that Rigondeaux hasn't seen before. I mean, he's always fought taller guys and always fought bigger guys. So I didn't necessarily think that Loma is fighting a midget when I saw them side by side.
I don't think size is going to play a massive part. Initially, when you think about, Rigo's going 2 weight classes, blah, 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 but Lomachenko's only recently moved up to super feather, so it's not, really, if you look at it, it's when their fight was being talked about, it was basically a fight between one weight class. Either Rigo goes up, Lomachenko comes down, or they meet in the middle at a catch weight. So I don't really see it in a big factor. And as you say, Rigo's always fighting bigger dudes, so it's nothing really new to him.
It isn't exactly, and he's, I think he's fought guys even that are much taller, even that Japanese dude that rocked him a few times.
He was massive.
Yeah, it was absolutely massive, but much less skinnier though, and probably less sturdy than Lomachenko. I think this fight will be determined by skill. I think Lomachenko is not a guy that uses his size. I don't think he's that necessarily. I don't think he's a physical fighter. He doesn't use that, man. He uses his movement and his athleticism to kind of dazzle the guys that he fights, and he uses that movement to find different angles and just overwhelm guys with punches. That's what I see him do. I don't think he's necessarily slick. I think he's a very athletic guy, and I think he uses that with really, really good offensive technique. But it is not necessarily traditional technique. I think his jab is a little weak. I don't think he uses it that often. And I think his biggest assets are his legs, man. That's what defines his entire offense. And that kind of worries me a little bit when he's facing a guy like Rigondeaux, because I don't think Rigondeaux necessarily gets either fazed by that like some other guys do. And I think Rigondeaux has a really, really good ability to read fighters and just to be patient with his shots. And I think he can kind of see through that. I don't think he's going to be dazzled, like a lot of other people have. And Rigondeaux has some fucking hand speed as well, man. Like that left hand comes around so quick. So one of the scenarios I see playing out is Loma coming forward. And the X factor here is obviously like, can Rigondeaux hurt him? But I can see a scenario where he might not drop him or whatever, but I think he could hurt him enough to change the momentum of the fight and to kind of change the pace completely. And I'm by no means comparing Donaire with Loma, but that's what kind of happened with Donaire, right? Like in the first round, I remember clearly, because I watched it again today. In the first round, there's an exchange, which ends with a Rigondeaux left hand right on the fucking jaw, and from there on, like the whole stance and the whole expression on Donaire's face just changes. Like this, he just got popped in the mouth, and it's by a smaller guy who's very slick, but who hits incredibly fucking hard and accurate. And Rigondeaux has this ability to do that, and not only that, he will not force anything after that point. I even thought in the Donaire fight he was a little adventurous sometimes exchanging with Donaire, but normally, he will kind of set the tone. He will have the guy feel his power, and then he will just snake charm him for the rest of the fight. He'll just stand there. He will not move that much. It's very economical, little steps, but he will just pick his spots and he'll invite the guy in, but the guy will be so hesitant after he felt that power that it just, creates a completely different fight. So that is one of the scenarios that I see happen, Cam. I don't know what you think about that.
that's a great point, but what if I flip that scenario around? Can you see Lomachenko hurting Rigo and he feeling his power?
I can, but I don't know how that's going to go, because I don't see Rigondeaux just taking a combination from Donaire without firing back. I could be wrong here, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he is the smaller guy, make no mistake, and at the end of the day, he's been dropped many times. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if Loma dropped him, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if he fired off some hook that hit him and he went down. But from what I've seen from Rigondeaux, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be that easy. He's not that easy to hit, and he fires back. That's one of the things I really noticed about him, again, rewatching his fights. He rarely gets hit and then just doesn't respond. Like, he will often, even if he gets partially hit, he will fire back straight away. So, and Loma does a lot of this shit where it looks good, man, but if you have somebody that can time that movement and that can time that rhythm, I don't know how that's going to work out for him. You know, we've seen it in the past with guys, you know, a good example is like Prince Nassim, for example, where he looks amazing with his movement when he's dealing with guys that don't know how to time it. But as soon as you have somebody that does, it looks really, really dramatic when they get hit, because they're actually off balance 50%, or even more, 70% of the time.
Like the Kevin Kelly fight.
Well, the Kevin Kelly, I'm thinking more of the Barrera fight, obviously. Because
no, but even the Kelly one, like, he was off balance so much, his gloves kept touching down just because he wasn't used to, like, someone catching him.
Yeah, exactly. And Loma, I've seen, again, for example, I was watching the Sosa fight today. Like, he's always moving and he's always doing some weird shit, you know, dancing around. Like, if you get caught in one of those moments, you know, like, that doesn't look good. You might not be that badly hurt, but especially for the judges, it's going to look like a very dramatic punch. And I don't know, man. I have a feeling that Rigondeaux is not going to be fazed by any of this bullshit. But my question is, can he actually hurt the guy? I would think that Loma has a good chin, but I don't know. I really don't know, man. It's going to be a test, because I do think Rigondeaux is an incredibly hard puncher, and I do think, you know, Loma's chin is going to get accurately hit, like properly chinned for one of the first times in his career. Guys like Salido, you know, they kind of mauled him and roughed him up a little bit, but I don't think there's been that many times where he's had his chin checked, like, properly clean, so.
Yo, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. What's up?
No, I thought you dropped off. I don't know. So another scenario that I foresee is both being very, very negative in the sense of they don't want to let off first and maybe get countered, so they're both very tense, and I could see like half the fight going in that scenario, and then maybe opening up more in the second half where, you know, the output's a bit more. So I'm scared of that scenario, because I don't want this great fight on paper to be a bit of a dud in reality, which I could see happening. I went back and watched the Gary Russell fight, and I've not seen that fight since it happened. And I forgot how good of a fight it was. It was very entertaining, man. Like, Russell was throwing a lot, he was missing a lot. Lomachenko was throwing a lot, and he was missing a lot as well. And that's another scenario I foresee. The only problem is Rigo's output is very low, so he's going to be looking for those kind of one-shot counters. And because of that, there were big periods in the Lomachenko fight where kind of Lomachenko wasn't getting off first. He was kind of waiting for Russell to let off and then counter. So will Lomachenko be taking the lead a lot? I don't know. Will he be, you know, scared of what Rigo's going to throw back, so he's not throwing as much? I don't know, man. I'm hoping it's going to be a great fight. I'm so hyped, man. I wish like it was Saturday night right now, so we only got a couple hours left till the fight. But I just don't know, man. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm also very excited, Cam. This is not my normal type of fight that I would get pumped up for. You know, it's not a Salido Vargas, but I've already accepted the fact, just like you, that this is not going to be a brawl. I've already accepted that, and going in with that mindset is good because I know it's going to be a very tactical fight. And for me, it's really, really just, who's going to come out on top? Like that's such a big question mark at this point. For some people, it isn't. For some people, it is a complete mismatch, which I don't agree with. But for me, it is a complete unknown, and that's what makes it very exciting. And even if it's if it's a snake charm kind of fight for 12 rounds, and we see a decision, I'll probably still be satisfied because it's going to be a very, very a high display of boxing skill, and I don't know. I'm trying to work myself towards a pick, and I don't know why. I don't like Rigondeaux necessarily, but I have a feeling that he's going to pull off the same shit that he's done with Donaire. I have that feeling. I don't know. I can't say with any certainty. This is just me trying to imagine what the fight would go like, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Rigondeaux pick. I know it might be crazy, but I don't know. That's kind of what the gut says at the moment, Cam.
Shame on you, bro. Shame on you for picking Rigo, man.
Why?
Because he's bored us so many times, bro.
He's bored, but again, I watched the Donaire fight, and that fight was not boring, by the way. That was a fucking good fight. And I thought Rigondeaux actually, in hindsight, watching it again, I thought it was an extremely ballsy performance. Like, he stood right in front of a guy that we all perceived at the time to be a, murderous puncher at the lower weight classes, putting fucking dents in people's heads. And he stood right in front of him, man, and he was ballsy, man. He exchanged with him quite a few times. Like, he just, and he busted him up, man. Like, the output wasn't necessarily that high of that fight, but it was a very tense, action-packed fight where these guys are throwing hard punches. So if we get something like that, man, I'll be very, very happy, and I'll forgive Rigondeaux for all his bullshit that he's put on display in the past.
Yeah, for the record, I'm picking Lomachenko only because it's crazy. Like, I try not to have favorites, but he is one of my favorite fighters, active fighters right now, man. He's so fun to watch. He looks effortless when he's doing it. It's like some people that are good at their trade make it look easy. And he's one of those guys. He just makes boxing look easy. It's like you could just want, if you've never boxed before, after watching him, you want to go to the gym because you think it's easy. No, it's not easy. He makes it look easy. But I have a love and hate relationship with Rigo. Like, he's so skillful and he's so talented. But yeah, the Donaire fight was very good. But there's so many shitty fights, Kimo. There's so many fights where he's levels above his opponent and he just doesn't do enough. And it's prize fighting, it's entertainment, Kimo. We want to see, if you're the best, then prove you're the best. Don't put us to sleep. That's my only problem with Rigo.
Well, you're talking about two different things, all right? You're talking about entertainment and you're talking about skill. And
but they're one of the same, though, when it comes to the sport we love.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And to be honest, I've been on record on this show and shit on him many, many times, right? I mean, I've told many times, like, get this fucking guy off my TV. I've literally said that. So I completely agree with you, but that mental attitude that he's got, that is actually one of the reasons why I'm picking him. Because no matter what the situation is, no matter what the setting is, no matter what's on the line, he's always got the same attitude. And that attitude is, I'm going to box the way I want to box, and I don't give a flying fuck who I'm facing, and I don't give a flying fuck who's sitting in the crowd, even if it's the queen herself. Like, he does not care. He honestly does not care. And that attitude of never, stepping out of his normal self, like, that's what I think it might win in the fight, because no matter what Lomachenko will do, all that flashy shit, all those combinations, like, he will never step out of character. That's what I was trying to say. Like, you saw it, for example, in the Donaire fight. Like, when he gets dropped, he acknowledges it, and he's very calm in the way he responded. Very, very fucking calm. And then you have a guy going after him, with trigger happy, power punches, and he's just the same. And he will, again, he's very economical with his movement. He doesn't start running away. He doesn't start doing a panic clinch or anything like that. He's just very calm, and you see that even his fucking facial expression, Cam, it never changes, right? Have you ever seen a photo where he smiles or looks angry? It's always the same. Like, he is just a fucking robot, and it shows in his character, and it shows in his performance, except for his Twitter account, which is probably run by somebody else, right? His Twitter account is quite legendary.
That's another problem. It's like, well, you talk so much shit, and then when you actually come in for the fight, you don't really do enough. But then, again, that's probably a different topic for a different day. But just quickly before we bring Joss on, Kimo, I have a feeling that both guys are gonna miss more than they land. Like, what do you think about that? Because they're both so good defensively. And with Lomachenko throws so many punches, I think a lot of them are going to miss because Rigo's so good defensively, and Rigo probably won't miss as much because he's not thrown as much.
I don't know about missing. I just think it will be a very low output. And with Loma, he might miss a lot, but I don't think he's going to miss a lot without there being repercussions. It's the same thing I said all over again. If he's going to start throwing flashy combinations and he misses 4 out of 4 punches, there will be something coming back in his face. I guarantee you that. Yeah. So I don't think it'll be a situation where guys are just missing and nothing's happening. I just think it's going to be a very tentative fight, and that plays exactly in Rigo's hand. Like, this is exactly what he wants. He wants it to slow down. He wants him to have the oversight. And yeah, I think towards the end of the fight, Loma's going to get really, really frustrated. And let's see what happens then. Is he going to go for broke? Is he going to try to put pressure on him? What's he going to do? It's a very dangerous strategy, for example, to start going to the body against Rigondeaux, because what's going to come over the top. It's such a difficult fight to predict, man. It really, really is. I'm super fucking pumped for it.
Me too. Let's bring Joss into it. Are you there, Joss?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
You break us down your opinion, and how do you see the fight playing out?
Let me just defend Rigo, Cam. He's going up 2 weight classes. He's 37 years old. It's opponents that make the fight boring because he makes them feel the power early, and then the opponent just doesn't take any risks. Like, if you look at the Amagasa fight, he tore him up in what was an exciting fight. But if you look at someone like the African dude that he fought,
was it Abeko?
Yeah, him. Like,
that was a horrible fight, bro. That was terrible.
Know, bro. Yeah, that was horrible. But someone like Loma, I think he's gonna make Rio work. Like, he's gonna throw combinations. If you try to make the perfect fighter, the perfect style to beat Rigo, it'll be someone who's like fast, who doesn't load up, who throws a lot of combinations, has speed, goes to the body.
Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, I know, man. But maybe Rigo's just unbeatable. Like, cause I'm with Kimo. Like, I got this weird feeling like Rigo's gonna win. Like, he's got this aura about him. Like, he's like a winner. Like, he's like a born winner. Like, it's in his mentality. He's like Andre Ward. And I think he's stronger mentally. Like, if he was down on the cards to Salido, we would have seen a Rigo that's more offensive earlier on in the fight. Like, Loma didn't really put on the gas. I know that was a different Loma, and since then Loma has improved. But still, mentally, I think Loma showed some weakness there. Can you still hear me, Cam?
Yeah, loud and clear. I'm just trying to try Kimo's line again. Yeah.
And then, what do you think of what I just said?
I don't know, man. I'm so mixed about this fight, which is a good thing, man, because so many times I see if I'm so confident, we talk on the previews and we're like, yeah, the fight's going to play out like this, and it does nothing exactly, it's nothing the way you expected it. But it's refreshing to just not know how it's going to go. And I'm going to be so tense and nervous at 2-3 a.m. and I'm going to try, I got work in the morning, but I'm going to try and come have a nap so I can be fresh for it, because I initially wanted to stay up for the Cotto fight last week, but I couldn't nap. And come 3 o'clock, I was just like iced, and I woke up at 6 o'clock on the sofa, and I was like, "Shit, what happened?"
Yeah.
Looked at the phone.
Carl fight wasn't that type of fight. Like this fight, you automatically wake up with no alarm.
That's true. But I also don't want to be groggy in that when the fight's going on. I want to be like sharp. I want to grab at least 2 hour nap just to be sharp while I'm watching it. But
like I was watching the workouts, like the public workouts, and Rigo looked way better, man. Like Loma it was slow paced. I compared it to like his workout for Walters, and he looked like he kept like, you know how you get the sniffles when you got the flu?
Yeah.
He kept like wiping away his nose. Maybe I'm just being paranoid because I'm a Rigo fan and I'm just seeing things that aren't there. But dude, we'll see on fight night. But he did look like he might have the flu, and Rigo looked like a beast, man. And Rigo was actually going to the body on the mitts. That trainer he's with is a pretty good trainer. That Cuban guy.
yeah,
And he's going to the body. But I think Rigo needs to use his right hand more. Like, I've got the Daenerys fight up right now, and like you can see, like he's just looking to land that left. Like the jury's out now. Everyone knows Rigo's got a solid left, you know. I think though the body shots, if Rigo does go to the body, I would give him the fight because Lomachenko's got kind of a high guard, and even though Salido was throwing hip shots, like he was landing some body shots too.
I think he's pretty solid to the body, and I think his chin's pretty good. Like, I'm interested to see how he reacts after a clean left hand from Rigo.
Yeah,
because
I think Rigo's power's legit, bro.
Yeah, but I think
if hasn't been tested.
Yeah, I think if he reacts well, though. I think if he reacts well and Lomachenko takes his punch, then it should be an easy fight from then on for Lomachenko. Because from what I've seen so far, I know he's not been in with big mega punches, but like, you know, Walters was a big puncher, Salido's a decent puncher, and, you know, Gary Russell's a decent puncher, and Lomachenko held his own against all those dudes, man.
Yeah, but you know when Lomachenko does those pivots, he's allowed to do those pivots because his opponents are like so slow mentally, they can't like comprehend what's going on. But with Rigo, he's just gonna pivot with him and not let him take the angle.
That's a good point. Oh, Kimo, are you there?
I can't wait though.
Yo, how does it sound?
Yeah, you've gone back to normal, man. Thank God.
And you know how Rigo's got that left uppercut. Like I could just like see like Lomachenko trying to like get inside and Rigo just ripping him. If Rigo does hurt him early, like Kimo said, and slows the pace down and gets comfortable, and he's comfortable at the higher weight, and he's fighting at his own rhythm because Lomachenko's not taking enough risks and not throwing enough punches, then yeah, it's Rigo's fight. So I think the start matters a lot.
Cam, please interrupt me if I go back to sounding like shit again, but I just want to touch quickly on what Jazz said about the body shots. And by the way, Jazz, nice to talk to you for the first time on air, man. Good stuff. Have you noticed as well in the Donaire fight, like he constantly throws that left hand straight into the fucking stomach, man. And he was quite consistent with that in the earlier rounds. I can see him do that as well against Lomachenko, and he throws it so fast, man. Like he really just goes in and out like a snake. And I tend to use the word fucking snake all the time with this guy, but it's exactly what represents his style, man. Using the right hook as well. He kind of did it a little bit against Donaire, but it is a little bit wide. Like it's not as crisp as that left hand. And I do agree with you. You know, the book is out about him. You know what's coming, but the question is, do you see it coming, right? Because it's not easy to see that counterpunch coming. And he'll wait, man. He'll fucking wait 30 minutes for you to throw one punch. You know, he's never in a hurry. That's what's amazing about him. By the way, guys, I'm looking at the weigh-in right now, and these guys, honestly, they don't look that big. So they don't look that far apart in terms of weight classes, man. Like the shoulder height is almost identical. It's Loma's neck is a bit taller, and he looks like he's a little bit of a taller guy. But in terms of the bodies, man, it's not that
It's not
Wow.
that crazy. It's not that crazy of a difference. Are you looking at the same thing I am right now?
No, you're right, but I'm shocked that a Rigondeaux weighed in at 128.4. Like, that's very high, in my opinion,
Oh,
for a guy that's...
You think he was going to come in light?
I thought he was going to come in like 126, yeah.
Maybe he's just not, boiled down as much. He didn't need to, so he's just come in more of his natural weight.
He looks cut though. Man. He looks.
He's got those
shredded.
sick genetics. Like, he can just move up and like not have an ounce of fat on him.
Kimo, what did you say? He looks cut.
Yeah, he looks very cut, bro. Man, I'm really surprised. I thought he's gonna fucking, look like a midget in front of Lomachenko, and it's really not the case. I really don't think this is that bad of a mismatch in terms of size. Let's see how it looks fight night, because I don't know. But I don't think Lomachenko even cuts that much, right? I mean, he moved up only out of choice, just to find bigger fights. He's not even fighting at his optimal weight class. So
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's a rehydration clause of 139 pounds. And they probably just made that because Lomachenko's not going to be above that anyway. But one thing about Lomachenko, if he breaks his hand, like he did in a couple of his previous fights, and Rigo like senses that, like it's fight over. Because Rigo's going to be comfortable. Like, if a confident Rigondeaux is like flowing and moving around the ring and like pot shotting you, is like dangerous.
I just can't get over this guy's face, man. Like, it just never changes expression. He did say on Twitter though that he's gonna beat the shit out of him, man. Did you guys say that?
Yeah, he said it in an interview too.
Did he?
Yeah, he said in an interview with Radio Raheem, he's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. I'm not even watched his previous fights, but I know I'm gonna. And then he asked him, is Rigondeaux, are you just a defensive fighter? And he's like, no, if I need to attack, I will. Whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a very strange character in that his offense creates a very defensive fight. That's kind of the way I see it, right? It's like he sets a certain tone at the beginning of a fight, and then, he really puts the ball in his opponent's court. He's like, okay, this is what I can do to you. Now what are you going to do? And he will never ever, press the action and basically change the whole tone of the fight. He will just keep on doing his thing, man. And yeah, is there any way that you guys can see Lomachenko just outworking him to a decision? Do you see a scenario where that happens?
Yeah.
I'm being controversial. I'm making my pick right now, Kimo. I'm picking Lomachenko by stoppage. He stops him late. He takes his soul away.
Oh my God. No, I can definitely see that because they got rid of Teddy Atlas and they've brought in like Bradley Kriegel. So the fix is in. So there's no Atlas complaining about the cards. They got Kriegel, Bradley, and Tessie Tor.
How did do my boy Teddy like that? I read that as well, Joss, on the boxing scene. They're saying now maybe because of that last fight with the Kriegel and Atlas going back and forth. But I found that entertaining, man. I thought that was kind of good rather than both guys just sucking each other's dick,
I know. Now they've got like Bradley and Kriegel who both prefer like higher output, like more aggressive guys. So the fix is in, dude.
Who the fuck is Kriegel anyway? Like, he just came out of nowhere. Started to do those little interviews with the Showtime boxes.
Is that the New York guy, the one that's asking all the deep questions?
Yeah.
On Showtime, yeah. And they've got Stephen A. Smith as like the pundit. Like how like they go back to the studio after the fight.
Oh my God!
I swear down.
No. I hope Box Nation have a good international feed commentary because that ESPN commentary sounds like it's going to be dog shit.
Well, you're looking forward to Christina Puncher and Bob
shit.
Sheridan.
I know, yeah. You know what? I'm just going to listen with mute, man. I'm just going to admire the great skills on offer.
Jazz, are you some sort of fucking psychic? Because I was literally about to mention that Christina is like strutting around in the way and in some fucking leather pants. So it's come check it out.
Oh, they got to attract the casuals, man.
Oh my God!
Right.
This
Kimo,
is.
give me your final pick then. You're picking Rigo, but how? by boring UD?
I think I'm gonna go. Oh my god, this weigh-in. The stare down is amazing, guys. You gotta really watch it. There's just tension in the air.
Is it live or did it happen already?
No, it's happened already, man. It's on ESPN's YouTube page. Just I can put it in the chat. Hold on, let me do it. But yeah, man, I'm fuck it. I'm just gonna roll with it. I know it's a complete unknown, so I'm not gonna take credit for it. You know, if Rigondeaux wins, at the end of the day, we all don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. But I am officially going with Rigondeaux by unanimous decision. I think it'll just kind of look like the fight in terms of the way it progresses, but I don't think anybody's really going to get dropped. Maybe Rigondeaux gets dropped, but I think he'll pull out a decision.
It's going to be a war, bro. Multiple knockdowns. It's going to be like fight of the year candidate.
Cam. You never know, Cam.
I got a feeling though, Kimo. I got a gut feeling it's going to be like a multiple knockdown war, and it's going to be like a classic fight that we talk about in years to come.
I could see that happening, bro, because you know when like Noma does all those pivots, and Rigo's gonna have to do the pivots as well. He might be off balance, and Lomachenko scores a knockdown, and now Rigo's playing catch up.
It's gonna happen, Jas. It's gonna happen. I'm being positive. But what about you, Jas?
You guys are cursing this fucking fight. Stop it.
Final prediction, Jas.
I'm gonna go Rigo by knockout because then honestly,
if it happens, you look like a genius.
Yeah, that's one reason. Another reason is that's what I want. Just a meltdown. And and I feel like he deserves it. He deserves it as well. Like, he's been on the sidelines and he's got shitty promoters that no fault of his own. He probably was taken advantage of, like a lot of Cuban fighters are. But he's got a shitty promoter. And I just want to see it, like the great Rigondeaux, like scoring a knockout. And just the look on Aaron's face.
One thing we haven't really talked about though is, and by the way, great prediction. But one thing we haven't talked about is his age, man. Like for a fighter at the lower weight classes to look great he's 37, right? At 37 years old is rare, right? Especially, you know, because those smaller guys rely on a lot of athleticism and movement. Like they age really, really quickly. Like
reflexes,
yeah, exactly. Especially Rigondeaux, man. It's all about the reflexes and, you know, the way he just fucking counters with that taking into account that upper body movement. But if he pulls this shit off at 37 years old, that is quite a story, man.
Dude, they should put him into they should put him into the Hall of Fame like that night. If he beats Lomachenko, I think that's what it's going to come down to though. Who performs better on the night and who has the better reflexes?
I just hope that people, you know, no matter what the result, I hope people don't fucking, and I know people will, but I know they don't start going crazy about their accomplishments and all of that. Like I've always been a skeptic of Lomachenko, but if he loses, I'm not automatically going to dismiss him as a shitty fighter or whatever, you know, like he just fought a guy who's incredibly skilled. That's all. You know?
Why have you been a skeptic?
Write him off all of a sudden.
Sorry to interrupt you. Why have you been a skeptic of Lomachenko?
Well, you haven't noticed on past shows?
No, but I don't know why there would be any reason to, though, man. Like,
yeah, because the hype around him is so high, you just got to even that hype out by like bringing people back down to reality.
I'm not like a nut hugger, but like I just love watching him fight, man. It's like, why would you not like this dude?
Cam, whenever I see a guy. And another example there are many examples in boxing, right? But whenever I see a guy that's just kind of having it his way, in his fights, when I look at, you know, the way he dismantled, Walters, the way he took out Sosa, you know, when he's just kind of dancing around, having fun, yes, I can see the skill, and yes, I can see, you know, that he's probably, you know, one of the greatest fighters in boxing at the moment, but there's no resistance coming back, right? And whenever that's the case, it always leaves a big question mark with me, and especially with Lomachenko, because the time that I did see some resistance, he lost, right? So that leaves a question mark for me, and I don't see somebody that doesn't have his flaws. Yes, I see him as an incredible athlete, but again, I see opportunities there. When I look at the way he fights,
He leaves a lot of openings. He just needs somebody that can match him in terms of athleticism. And I think this is the first time where he's got somebody in front of him that can match him. And as Jazz said, has the right mentality. Like, I think Rigondeaux is so mentally strong. He can deal with a very, mentally difficult fighter to face in the ring. Like, a lot of the shit that Loma does in the ring is just mentally draining for the opponents. They just get overwhelmed, It's not like he has crazy knockout power. It's not that they really are fearful of him, like for example with a Kovalev or anything like that. He just, he just dominates them with almost flair. And I've always wanted to see him face a guy that doesn't really give a fuck about any of that. And again, I hate to harp on the same thing, but Salido is one of those guys as well. He does not give a shit how many medals you've got, how many amateur fights you've won. He doesn't care. He's gonna fight his fight, and again, we kind of saw what happened. So
yeah,
and people often like to paint him as a great already, and I'm sorry, he's not. Maybe he's one of the greatest amateur fighters of all time, but he's not one of the greatest professional fighters. He's just not.
Okay.
In terms of skill in boxing right now, he's probably one of the best, but he doesn't have a resume to back it up. Plain and simple.
Kimo, you said he doesn't have crazy knockout power. Just, do you think his power's underrated because he throws so many of those kind of tippy-tappy and then he changes the level of power so much? I think he's a big puncher, but he doesn't show it all the time. Yeah,
I mean, he must have some power, otherwise Walters wouldn't have quit. But Walters getting so outclassed that maybe he just quit. He just got a glass soul.
Yeah, he's hurting Salido towards the end of the fight.
But yeah, Lomachenko, yeah, you're right. His style is like tippy-tap, open you up, and then try to rip one.
Yeah, that's why
a harder shot.
That's why I'm picking him to stop Rigo, man. I think eventually, he'll get to him.
I think that's all he has on his mind. He's more offensively minded, so he's going to be thinking, how can I find an opening against Rigo? And then boom, Rigo's just hitting with a straight left.
We'll see, man. I fucking can't wait. We'll see.
Yeah, I love two unbeaten fighters going against each other, though.
Well, Lomachenko's not unbeaten, though, really, even though he is. But
yeah, he can't. Yeah,
he's not.
Connor, yeah,
he isn't. He isn't. It's a sticky situation.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, come on, man. That Salido fight. Fuck Salido, man. The cheating bastard.
The only fight where I thought, wow, this guy has some pop is when he iced Roman Martinez, but
he
caught him with a shot he didn't see, and yeah, he's a bit of a bum anyway.
Yeah, but he beat down Jason Sosa. He hurt Salido towards the end of that fight. Like I think his power was underrated. But you guys got anything else you want to talk about regarding this fight?
Oh man, I could talk about it for hours, but I'm just happy it's here, man. I'm happy it got made. I'm happy it got made also despite all the skeptics that were calling for this fight, not to be made and saying it's a mismatch and it's what's wrong with boxing. No, I'm sorry. This is exactly what's right with boxing. This is two of the most skilled guys in the sport right now going at it, and we're going to get to see it. So I'm fucking hyped, dude. I'm really, really fucking hyped, and I just cannot wait.
Cam, guess who's the referee? Steve Willis.
Oh shit! He's gonna be grinning like a motherfucker.
And the judges are good judges like Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman. They did the Ward Kovalev rematch, and Weisfeld had Kovalev up 5-2, and Feldman had Ward up 4-3. And then Kevin Morgan, a new judge. So yeah, they're hopefully no controversy.
Fingers crossed, no controversy. That's the last thing we want. Alright, let's quickly move on. Just go down the undercard. Nothing really to talk about, I think. Everything is about the main event. Obviously, we got Michael Conlan on there fighting someone. Shakur Stevenson's on there. But yeah, I've got nothing really to say about the undercard. Do you guys?
Is Michael Conlan fighting a cab driver or what?
Binman, I think. Binman.
I saw this.
Who's he fighting? Do you know the name?
He's fighting Luis Fernando Molina, 7-3 and 1 draw. He's Argentinian.
He came from the Hearn, what is that? Fucking trash can of bombs in Argentina.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
How good is I saw this hot chick like at the presser, Michaela Meyer. Like, how good is she? She had super long legs and was showing them off too.
Is this the Mexican chick?
Nah,
I don't know. No, she's American.
She's American. Yeah, I've seen her once. She's okay, to be honest. From the fight I saw her, she was really digging into the body. She's a bit of a beast of a body puncher, so she's kind of
her against Katie Taylor is the next pay-per-view, yeah?
Yeah, like Matchroom USA versus Matchroom UK. But anything else, or should we move on?
Yeah, man. Let's go to the. I mean, this card is okay, but let's talk about the card of the week, man. That's more important.
Which is?
The boys are back in town, bro.
That's fucking
live on Bucks Nation. What a great card.
Horrible.
I looked at like when you can see the views of the presser. There's like 800 views.
Just the hardcores watching that shit. It's a shame, like if Warren's going to bring these guys on, fair enough, he wants to get Selby for Warrington or eventually maybe Frampton. But, okay, Eduardo Ramirez is unbeaten, 20-0 and 3 draws, but bring a name we've seen, man. And same with DeGale. Like, DeGale's gone out over to the States, fought people of high caliber, and then you bring him back over here to fight fucking Caleb Truax. Come on, bro. It's a waste of money.
Yeah, but he's like spewing away the BT money. Like, he obviously overpaid, like, DeGale, so he's got none left in the budget to bring anyone decent over. Most
likely. And then Serge Locke is fighting Anthony Yard, like another easy touch for Yard. Basically a fat middleweight. Okay, he fought a lot of guys that we know at super middleweight, but he's not even really a super middleweight and that fucking light heavy. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, it is a step up though. I mean, that dude went 12 rounds with Stieglitz.
Oh shit, I've shot Stieglitz.
A step up. Oh my god, is that a step up?
That's a step down.
What a beast.
Yeah, I got nothing to say in this card. The card overall, I'm going to watch it because I'm a bum, but the card overall is terrible. It's fucking terrible, Kimo.
Cam, let me play devil's advocate to this though, right? And you've expressed your your liking of Caleb Truax in the past, so I will call you out on that. But do you think there's any chance that Truax actually, gives him a hell of a fight? Because we don't really know in what kind of state DeGale is in, man. I mean, last time we saw him, he looked like a fucking homeless guy with no teeth. You know what I mean? So,
but he fought well.
What do you think?
He fought well against Badu. He kind of dropped him with that kind of flash knockdown at the beginning, and he had rounds that he was decent. He's just a guy that takes rounds off and doesn't do enough at times. But Truax, I don't know where you said said that I like him. Truax isn't that good. He finally had a step up after a couple of years against Jacobs, and yeah, like he went almost a distance. Jacobs, I think, stopped him in the last round, but every time Jacobs was catching him clean, he was hurting him. And since then, he fought Anthony Durrell, got stopped in the first, and yeah, man, on paper, this is an easy fight for James.
Yeah, I remember that fight against Jacobs. He was like backpedaling the whole fight.
Yeah.
And that was at 160, even though Jacobs is a huge puncher.
Yeah.
He got knocked out in one round against Durrell. Shout out to BoxRec.
BoxRec gangsters.
Shout out to Leon, Durrell's boy. He's Durrell's boy, man.
But yeah, I don't know. What did you think of like Truax? Even though I look like him a bit, bald head and Billy Goat. Yeah, that's the only thing that you can maybe say.
Nah, I remember we once had an argument on air where you thought Truax was like an okay fighter, and I said he was absolute trash. But this is a long time ago, by the way.
I don't remember this conversation.
I'm just reminding you of that. It happened. I think this was at least maybe 1.5 years ago. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's very good, and he doesn't really have a lot to threaten in terms of offense. So yeah, I mean, DeGale should take this quite easily. But again, DeGale tends to make his life a lot more difficult than it has to be. Partly due to his shitty gas tank, and he just throws a lot in the beginning of the fight. Too much flash, always hits a lot of gloves, not very accurate.
and then it just tends to go to distance, and he starts getting tagged. And I just think he's been taking a lot of shots in his last fight. So I don't know how long this is going to last. I've always said I find the Gill a knockout waiting to happen, and it almost did against Badu-Jack. So it will probably not happen against Caleb Truax, but let's see where he goes from here. I don't have a lot of faith in his career going forward at the moment. So yeah, is our boy Triple D on this card as well? He has to be, right?
Of course, man. He's in a step up as well, bro.
Who's he facing?
Daniel Dubois fighting Dorian Darch, remember? A fat George Groves lookalike. He fought Anthony Joshua a couple of years ago.
Wow, what a step up. I always watch Triple D, man.
He's got no power, so that's like got knockout one written all over it.
Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the card's pretty shitty, man. You want to talk about the card at all, Josh, or should we just move on?
Move on, bro.
Alright, this is actually...
Wait a second. Who the fuck is... Cam, sorry, 1 second. Who the fuck is Selby fighting?
So I'm not sure, because from what the Mixler chat is, and I did see some stuff yesterday on Twitter that his opponent's kind of gone missing, so I don't know if he is fighting this dude or not. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that's probably Warren not paid him, like the deposit.
Dude, seriously, Selby, ever since he went to fucking Heyman, down the fucking toilet with his career, man. Yep. Absolutely ridiculous, and he's delusional, man. Like, this fucking guy is going after fans now on Twitter as well, saying like, oh, you don't know anything about the sport, so shut the fuck up. No, dude, trust me, we know enough that you are doing jack shit in your fucking career at the moment. You had a high at one point, and you just did absolutely nothing with it, man. I'm so disappointed in this guy. Joe Morgan, talk to your fucking boy, man. Seriously.
Yeah, Joe. But he's just one of those guys, I think, that values himself a lot higher than he actually is. He's not put in that actual work and built his brand. He did good to a decent point. But since, mainly the signing with Heyman, fighting on was it a Wednesday or something, and he looked like shit, and then he's kind of actually done nothing since then, man. So
yeah,
I mean, look at this, right? Sorry, look at this. After Gradovich, he got fucked up a little bit by Montiel
on a Wednesday.
Fought Eric Hunter, Andoni Gago, I don't even know who that is, Jonathan Victor Barros, and now he's gonna fight Eduardo Ramirez. I mean, this is a fucking world champion, right? Like, seriously. It's ridiculous.
I think we have to put an asterisk next to that world champion now.
I know, man. Because when you're like a fighter that moves a lot, you need to do more, like, to attract fans. You need to face stiffer opposition. Like, someone like Valdez, he's like exciting. So I don't mind when Valdez fights mandatories. But someone like Salvi, he's got to do more.
Kimo, you make an interesting point about him, retweeting people on, and commenting on tweets where people are being negative towards him. And I actually think that's a flaw in your character. It shows that those people are actually getting to you. Like, I think boxers always get, like, negative, abusive tweets. I think most celebrities or sports people do. But it's when you start replying to him, that actually shows that shit's getting to you now. That's pierced your skin, and that's affecting you.
Well, it might be, Cam, but on the other hand, I also, I one time watched that documentary on Selby. It was a really good one. I'm not quite sure what it was on, ITV or BBC or something like that.
I think it was BBC when they were kind of following him around and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the guy really came from absolutely fucking nothing, right? I mean, he's just a street kid, like that's what he was, and the fact that he's a world champion now and he's accomplished quite a lot, I can kind of understand how he would get defensive about criticism, because in his eyes, what he's doing is already miles and miles ahead of what he would imagine in his life, right? And he comes from a really simple background. So I don't necessarily, I can see where he's coming from, but like, dude, you're a fucking world champion now, man. You're not going anywhere. Like, you have the potential to be a star, even if it's not across, other regions as well. Like, why is this guy, for example, not a fucking star in Wales? Why?
Who can answer me this fucking question? Like, I really don't get it. Like, why is he not filling up an arena in his home country? That makes to me no fucking sense. I honestly don't get it.
If you look at Calzaghe, he was like the nice guy, the people's champ, and I might be totally wrong. This is just my opinion, but I think the Welsh prefer like humble people, and he's always the kind of the trash talk, not the trash talker, but he does kind of talk a bit of I don't want to say talks about himself in a higher sense, but he does have that kind of swag about him, and he portrays himself to be like this the newest thing, the best thing since sliced bread. And I don't think the Welsh fans like that. I think they prefer the nicer people.
I mean, I've only noticed that lately, Cam. For example, when I watched that documentary, I thought he was a very likable guy. Like the story with his dad, for example. Like I think his dad is fucking amazing. You know, just to watch them together and interact. Like I think the story is there. I think the character could be there, absolutely. But at the end of the day, he has not been fucking promoted anywhere. Like he just hasn't been promoted. Period. Like where is this following? You know, like it's just a complete missed opportunity, and it's his own fucking fault. Because he took some money and went over, you know, to Heyman. And what's it done for his career? Absolutely fucking nothing. Yes, he still got the belt. So fucking what? Like, honestly, dude, you're finding an absolute nobody in... Where are they fighting this weekend? Is it the Copper Box or what is it?
It is in the Copper Box, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're fighting a fucking doubleheader with DeGale. As DeGale's undercard, you know, in the fucking Copper Box Arena, and you've had like what 4 title defenses already.
Kimo, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but he could have signed with Heyman, do you think, and just set himself in Wales, just built up a following in Wales. Why travel? Just say to Heyman, okay, I want to sign with you, but I'm basing myself in Wales. Do you think, looking back, that should have been his strategy?
I mean, I don't have the inside scoop on what it's like to sign with Heyman, but if I look at all the other fighters that have signed with him, there's never any track record of promoting locally and actually just, you know, building up a fighter in a certain region. Like it just rarely happens. I can't really think of many other examples. You know, so why would we assume that Selby actually has any sort of control over this as soon as he signs with Heyman? And actually, like, works together with him, you know, for the best possible promotion. And let's be honest, Selby is at the bottom of the fucking food chain when it comes to the people that have signed with Heyman, right? Like he's not up there in terms of, you know, stardom or appeal. I don't think he sits every week, you know, for an hour on the phone with Al Heyman. Do you think that? I don't think so, man. He probably doesn't even understand this fucking accent.
He's probably never met him. All right,
yeah, exactly.
Let's move on then, Kimo. Anything else regarding this amazing card at the Copper Box?
No.
I actually want to talk about your cousin. Have you ever seen your cousin Ahmed Albiali fight?
No. It's too hard for me to watch, man. I care about him too much.
You like Kotel's family?
Well, I don't have cleavage like that, but yeah, it's very difficult.
No, it's an interesting fight actually. It's happening tonight in Florida. Albiali versus Jean Pascal, and I think it's a bit of too much of a step up for Albiali, even though Pascal is kind of shot. Every time I've watched Albiali, he's got power, but he's very basic, and I still think Pascal's got enough in his tank and his arsenal to kind of keep this young gun at bay. And Albiali's had a bit of time off as well. I think he had a hand injury, which he kind of had a year off to let that settle, and he's been kind of inactive in spurts. So yeah, I think Pascal's a bit too much of a step up. So
he's willing to take the test.
He's willing to take the test. But yeah,
I didn't even know about this fight, to be honest, Cam. But I'll definitely keep on the lookout, man. I'm glad my cousin is doing well.
He might not after tonight, but we shall see.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, so Aram said he's not fussed about HBO going up against his super fight for the hardcores, because they do have a card at the same time. HBO have got this card with Francesco Vargas versus Steven Smith, Tevin Farmer versus Kenichi Ogawa for the vacant IBF World Super Featherweight title, Orlando Salido versus Miguel Roman, and Dennis Shafikov versus Rene Alvarado. I think that's probably the weaker of the fights, but the other three, Kimos, pretty decent card. It's just a shame they have to just do this to themselves again, just go up against each other, fuck each other's ratings up. Why?
Cam, I'll be honest, I don't really give a shit. We're getting multiple great fights, on the same day, so I'm not complaining. And you know me, man. Even if I was watching this live, I'd be having like multiple streams on each side, so I'd be watching all of it together. It makes no sense. I do agree with you, but in boxing, a lot of things do not make sense. So what can I say, man? But it's a pretty good card, though, man. I like this little matchup that they've done with Salido. I'd like to talk about that one first, because Salido at this point has he's been through so many goddamn wars. It's just incredible that he's even still standing, and they've really matched him up well. I mean, this is just a tough Mexican brawler, with not a lot of skill, and they're just going to stand in front of each other and fucking throw bombs. So I'm totally down with this. They're probably, I don't know, I kind of see a scenario like with the Vargas fight where they're not really capable of really taking each other out. So it's just going to be a complete drag out, blood and guts, Mexican war, which is right up my alley. But God damn, man, I do think Salido at one point really needs to retire, man. Like, how long can this guy last? It's just incredible. Well, what do you guys think of this fight?
Yeah, Jess had to drop off, so it's just me. But yeah, it's a good fight. I've seen Roman before. I think the only time I saw him was against Miura, and I'm just looking through the notes I made in my phone. And
Miura fucked him up.
Yeah, he did fuck him up, to be honest. And I tend to agree with you. I think this is going to be an all-out war. And the thing about Salido, which is good, he can be hurt, he can be dropped, and he gets up. Remember that fight against Turdsack? Like, that was just up and down, yo-yo fight. This guy, as he goes down. And that's what makes for fun fights, and that's the reason we watch this shit. So, yeah, that's a good fight. But I'm more interested in Vargas Smith. Like, that totally went under the radar. I think Leon made me aware about that a couple of weeks ago. I didn't even know it had been made, and obviously Hearn's got this deal with HBO now, so we're going to probably see more of his fighters go over to the States, fight over there, and yeah, we've seen Vargas in 3 really tough wars he's had in his last 3. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't even mind if he just fought 2 bums in a row, just to kind of maybe get his confidence back again. And even though I don't really rate Smith highly, I think it is a toughish kind of fight for Vargas, who is coming off so many tough fights. What do you think, Kimo?
So I'm a big fan of El Bandido. I mean, he's a fucking action fighter, man, and he's giving us 2 absolutely amazing wars against Miura and Salido, and I watch those fights all the time. And looking at the way he looked in his last fight, man, against what was his name, Burchelt, I was really, really sad just watching that, because he's just not the same guy. He just doesn't have those Salido genetics where he could come out of these fights looking even remotely the same. He looked very slow. He looked very lethargic, and I think he looks close to a shot fighter. I mean, that was one fight. I don't know, if that's due to a bad weight cut or anything like that, or just, he's just damaged goods. But I'm not very optimistic about this, Cam. Smith is not a crazy puncher, but I think he's good enough to put a beating on Vargas. And it's unfortunately it might be a prolonged beating as well because he's not that great of a puncher. So I'm a little bit worried about this. I'll be honest. I hate saying this, but I don't really see a two-sided war. I think Vargas is pretty much over the hill, and yeah, I think he needs to retire, man. Because if not, he's gonna end up looking like somebody like Mike Alvarado, which I do not want. Because I really, even though the peak of his career has been very short-lived, it's been absolutely fantastic, and he's given so much in the ring. Like he's literally left a part of his life in the fucking ring, and yeah, I'm really worried about this fight, to be honest.
Wow, I'm surprised because even with those beatdowns he's had and those tough fights, I don't know. I've never really rated Steven Smith, so I think.
Yeah, but he's young, Cam, and he's fresh. He's a young, fresh guy.
He's not that young, bro. He's 32.
Yeah, but he hasn't been through the fucking grinder like he's in the prime of his career, right? In terms of what he's done, like I think he's way closer to the prime of his career than Vargas, man. Vargas he just looks so different, man, in his last fight. What did you think of that Burchelt fight? What did you see? I mean, I saw a completely different person in there.
Yeah, he did look kind of shot, but also I think Burchelt is very good. So he almost made him look that way. I don't really rate Smith. Smith's not a guy that's going to stand in there and really trade and beat up Vargas. And the only way I think Smith wins is by kind of boxing and moving, which could possibly happen. But I don't know. Smith going over there, I still favour Vargas, man. If it's a fight really? That goes on points, yeah, I think it's going to go to Vargas.
Oof, I hope you're right, but again, Vargas against Burchelt was one of the few moments, and I'm a bloodthirsty guy, and it's probably just because I like the guy, but it's one of the few moments where I did not feel comfortable watching it. I was just like cringing, and I was like, oof, this is, this guy should not be in the ring. That's basically what I felt. So based on that, I'm kind of making my prediction. So I'd probably see Smith. Yeah, maybe UDing him or maybe stopping him late. I don't think he'll knock him out or anything like that, but it's just going to be, somebody against somebody who can't really pull the trigger anymore, and it's just be taking unnecessary punches. That's kind of what I see happening. I hope I'm wrong, Cam. I hope that he has a fucking comeback fight and he slaughters Smith in the fucking drag-out war, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. Okay, we shall see. Again, interesting card. I'm not good. Sometimes I do, and I kind of put one, maybe Box Nation on the TV and then put a stream on the laptop. But I kind of just want to sit back and enjoy Rigo versus Lomachenko. I don't want to be distracted and looking at this screen, looking at that screen. So I think the HBO card for me is going to be the next day job. But Tevin Farmer, Kimo, I've not seen much of him. He has not got that much power, but it's crazy because he got shot, I think, early in the year in the hand. I think the bullet went straight through, didn't damage any bones or any tendons or anything. But it's crazy for a guy that got shot in the hand and he's a boxer in the summer to be already fighting in the winter. That's a remarkable turnaround, I think. Wow.
I guess he's got better genetics than Kell Brook after getting stabbed. But who's he fighting then?
Oh man, he's fighting someone that Neota probably only knows.
I don't really know much about Terry Farmer, man. I'm a fucking casual, so I didn't even know about this story, to be honest.
You are a casual.
Terry Farmer.
But yeah, he's fighting a guy from Japan, and you know what it is, man. Who's this guy for? He's fighting outside of Japan. Chu is always right about that, but for me, it's the vacant title that Gervonta lost when he missed weight. So hopefully, I know Farmer and Gervonta have had like a lot of back and forth. So maybe Gervonta will want to fight for his title again, and that should be a decent thing. But only power is Farmer's not got. Problem is Farmer's not got that much power. So we shall see. That's about.
Oh, this is for a fucking world title. Sorry, man. I just box wrecked this fight because I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's for the title that Javante lost when he missed weight.
Okay. Okay, Tevin Farm. I thought it was Terry. I thought this guy was fucking British. Tevin Farmer. Okay. Alright, we'll see. I have never watched him fight, I think. Who's he fought? Ivan Redcatch. Okay. That's about it. Alright. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Anybody else fighting this weekend?
Our Jedi Mind Tricks boy, Vinny Paz, is a big fan, but I think that's because they're both from Philly, so that's probably the main reason.
It's a bit hometown bias.
Yeah. But that's about it, Kimo. As far as I know, Zheli Zhang's fighting in China, the big heavyweight, but no one cares. Wow, he's 18-0 now. Last time I seen him, I'm sure he was just like fighting his 4th or 5th fight. He's already fought another like 14 bums.
Well, I'm pretty sure he'll keep going for a while before he actually fights somebody relevant.
Yeah.
This is a guy that Naota's hyped about, isn't it?
Yeah, Naota hypes anyone that's big and from the Orient.
And has a name that we can't pronounce.
I think he just likes him so he can outdo us in the pronunciation stakes. But Kimo, anything else you want to talk about before we bounce?
I'm just thinking about some other news and notes. We had, I think the new Superfly card got announced, right? We have Srisaket against Estrada.
Oh shit, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a good fight, man. It's a good fight. I think they're going to probably do that in StubHub again.
Nah, StubHub's going to be too cold in February, bro. It's going to probably be at the other place in Inglewood, the Forum.
Too cold? How cold does it get? It's LA. Isn't it nice all year round?
Yeah, but people in LA are like you, bro. They'll be walking around at 18 degrees Celsius and they'll be wearing like, oh, it's a bit cold, let's put a jacket on. Where people in the UK at 18 degrees.
It was fucking cold, man, when we were there. I was glad I brought my hoodie.
That wasn't cold, bro. You need to live in the UK again, then you know what? It's like fucking -2 outside, bro.
I know, man. But I just don't have any like proper jackets. You know, I've left all those behind in the Netherlands. So.
I love how you said, "I'm not gonna go to on that trip you were talking about yesterday because you've not brought a jacket with you." It's like, go buy a jacket, bro.
Dude, there's no winter coats in this fucking country. You think I could just go out and buy a nice jacket? You literally have to search for it, man. Like it's almost not here.
Do you like
no point in buying it.
Do you like North Face not have stores in Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
Yeah, but it's very rarely. I mean, you do have some jackets. I'm bullshitting a little bit, but it's not. You know, you don't have like a winter collection like you do. You know, like you have in the UK. It's like it just doesn't exist. So yeah. But anyway, what's your? Why are we talking about this? But what's your take on the fight, though, man? I think if Srisaket, you know, presses the action a little bit, I think it'll be a really interesting fight. I want to see him fight more like he did against Gonzalez in the second fight, where he's just, you know, he's got higher output and he's just being a lot more aggressive because he's got the size and the toughness to really become more of a pressure fighter. So
I just think that's his style. I think the reason he didn't do it as much in the first fight is because he didn't have a full camp, but I think that's his style. I think that's how he will fight against Estrada. The same style he fought against Choco in the second fight. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just looking at it. It is at Inglewood according to BoxRec, so it is at the Forum, Saturday the 24th of February. And Carlos Cuadras is on the undercard, but against TBA at the moment. So yeah,
what's the deal with this Gonzalez Yafai situation, man? What's the latest on that?
I've not heard anything. It's gone quiet, but sometimes that's a good sign. The same thing happened with Rigo versus Lomachenko. It kind of got announced that they were negotiating, then it just went dead. Next minute, the date gets set and it's happening. So maybe Eddie will pull it out.
I hope so, man. Because I kind of like that fight. Again, I hope Gonzalez still has something left, but yeah, fine. He's he should not turn into a fucking Lee Selby, man. Go do something. You're in the top 3, top 5 of your division. Yeah. Fucking fight somebody already.
You air quoted it Superfly 2, Kimo, but I don't know. It's mid-December now. The card's towards the end of February. Like, will any bigger fights get added to it? I can't really see it happening. I don't think it will be on the level of Superfly 1. I think they just kind of tentatively named it because obviously Estrada and Rungvisai on it, 2 guys that were on the first card, 2 guys that won their fight. So, do you think it's going to be a monster card like the first?
No, I don't think so, and that's because Gonzalez is not headlining. At the end of the day, I think Gonzalez was quite unique in that, you know, he's a small Nicaraguan guy that just pulls in a lot of people, right? I mean, if you think about it, we were there, and the amount of people that showed up for a flyweight is quite incredible. And not only are there a lot of Nicaraguans in the crowd, there's just a lot of people in general. So I think he was unique, and I think he got a little bit of a cult following as well for, you know, tactically putting him on the Golovkin undercards and just getting his name out there and getting time on HBO. And he always had some very fun, action-packed fights, you know. Like the first few times that we always saw him on TV, he was always beating the crap out of somebody. And he was actually having, you know, like showing power, and which is quite rare at those weight classes, and taking guys out. So he just had a bit of a following, and that kind of naturally built up into that Superfly card where finally they could sustain a whole show by themselves, right? And yeah, I don't think it'll be the same, to be honest. If Gonzalez is part of the card, you know, it'll probably be a good time, and Estrada will bring in the Mexican crowd, but I don't think it'll have the same kind of, you know, exciting atmosphere that the first one had, and the build up as well, because people were excited about this fucking card, man, going into it.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's about it, man. I don't think we have any other big fights coming anytime soon. There's a card. What is it in next week, right? With Katie Taylor as well.
Yeah, that's on a Wednesday at York Hall, as far as I know.
It's on a fucking Wednesday?
I'm sure it is. Let me just box record quick.
Oh, you're right. It's on the 13th of December. Taylor versus McCaskill. I don't even know who that is.
First defense in York Hall.
First defense in York Hall. Who else is on that card? Josh Kelly, Mr. Triple Left Hook. Connor Ben against TBA. And Joe Cordina. And Laura Sicoli against Team TBA. Cheeseman is there as well, man.
Ted Cheeseman's on it. I just saw that as well. Yeah, man.
Ted Cheeseman against Tony Dixon. I don't even know who that is.
Boy, he's a hell of a warrior.
What's the name of this card? It must have a really good name. Big City Dreams. It's in the SSE Arena, and hold on, that was an old one. What's the tagline of this card, man?
No idea.
You better have one.
I'm looking at Matchroom Boxing's website. Give me a sec. Let's see if we can find this great name. It's just called Taylor vs. McCaskill. Oh, come on, man. That's terrible.
That's a fucking terrible promotion.
Yeah, that's fucking...
Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing else happening except for, Bellew Hay rematch.
Did we talk about that? Like, fucking... I don't even think them making the rematch in May is even worth it, because Bellew's just going to be on the shelf, waiting, and then Hayes is going to get injured again. So what the fuck's the point?
Well, I don't know. I think, I hope Hay doesn't get injured, but at this point he's got an absolute glass body and everything seems to fall apart. I just hope he pulls it together, they do the fight, and we don't have to fucking hear about these guys ever again. Like, seriously, especially David Hay. I mean, he's just conned the public so many goddamn times. Like, enough is enough, man.
No more party, David.
No more party, David. It's just absolutely disgraceful. And the sad thing is, it's just that this guy is just going to make another couple of mil again. Like, it's just, I don't know. When you're a heavyweight and you can punch and you have that sort of aura about you in the UK, I guess you can always pull it off for some reason.
He's got that swag.
No, I mean, look how many fucking times Audley Harrison was on TV. Like, if you're a heavyweight, you tend to be able to pull this fucking shit off. But yeah.
Us Brits just love British heavyweights, that's all it is. But Kimo, another thing, we're talking about Katie Taylor fighting on a Wednesday. The Jeff Horn versus Gary Cochran fight is on a Wednesday. in Australia. Like, I hope my mate Bill in New Zealand can tell me why. Like, why is this on a Wednesday? Like, your guy beat Manny Pacquiao. Like, this should be some big event on a Saturday. Like, what the fuck? Unless, like, Wednesday is some type of holiday in Australia and I'm totally ignorant about, so I apologize. But I just find it strange how they kind of advising his career in this direction where, okay, like, the next time Jeff Horn fights someone decent, I don't think he's going to win. So you might as well try to milk the situation as much as possible. That's just me.
It's a bit weird, yeah, but maybe it points to the fact that nobody really gives a shit about this fight except for people in that country. Because, I mean, I don't even know the other guy. So Jeff Horn had such an incredible upset win, and then
come on, bro, you don't know the guy that your mate Liam Williams fought.
No, I don't.
Yeah, Williams fought him a couple of years ago. It was actually a decent fight, and he stopped him. But that was at 154.
Liam Williams is dead to me after failing to fucking take
Come on,
out
bro, don't do a
Smith,
Liam.
man.
Don't just like kill people because they lost, man. You still have to be on the bandwagon, man.
No. You really, really disappointed me, man. He made Smith look good in that fight, and that's quite fucking sad.
Was that L for you?
Was that performance, Cam?
It was a very weird performance. It was almost like he was just happy to be there. He's like, yeah, man, I'm here. Yeah. Got paid. So good.
Smith was on the back foot outboxing him. Like, how surreal was that?
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
That would probably never happen again.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, come on, man. It's how did you allow this to happen? Like, it's just very strange. I don't understand it. Yeah.
Neither do I.
Anyway, man, I think that's about it. And there's nothing else really big on the horizon in terms of boxing.
Just quickly, like, what's your pick for Billy Joe versus David Lemieux?
Oh man,
I
forgot about that. I like this fight. I do like it. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe because he's such an action-packed fighter that I kind of have a soft spot for him, but I like Lemieux, man. I know he's flawed. I know he's not that good, but I think he's a dangerous fighter, and I think a lot of people are really counting him out in this fight. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to actually pick him, but I have a hard time believing that Billy Joe Saunders is going to be on cruise control, and, you know, Lemieux is never going to put hands on him. I don't know that. I really don't. I mean, Billy Joe has looked fucking shit in a couple of his previous fights, and
that was when he was fat, though.
Yes,
this is the new chiseled Billy Joe, though.
I know. He's got the shakes, you know, from MGM or whatever the fuck he is, Tenerife. But
Brendan's getting him in shape, you know, giving him the injections or whatever they give him.
It's definitely some anti-aging shit that he's getting. But I don't know, man. I think it's a close fight. I might even. The problem is overall, Billy Joe does seem to have a good chin. I think his stamina is still questionable, but the problem is Lemieux does kind of fade down the stretch. But I honestly would not be surprised if Lemieux catches him, man. The guy can fucking crack. People really undermine this guy just to kind of shit on Golovkin's resume often, but I think he's a B- fighter. That's what I think of Lemieux. Yes, he's had some really, really strange losses in his career, but if you look at when he's fought people in recent years, he doesn't look bad, you know. He looks pretty decent, and he's always dangerous. He's always in there. So, I like the fight. And it's in home soil, right? It's in Montreal, so.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, Kimo, Lemieux just struggles with guys that move on the back foot, and that's what Billy Joe does, man. I said before how I am normally confident in the way a fight plays out, and this is one of those fights. I just think it's easy work for Billy. It's like a 10-2 fight for me. Like, easy. He makes Lemieux look like shit, like just a basic caveman coming forward throwing punches. And I'm not even a Billy Joe fan, to be honest. I don't really like this guy's style. I don't really like the way he talks. His views on majority of life. I don't really relate to him. But this is how I see the fight playing out.
No, I don't blame you. Honestly, don't blame you. But I think, again, people tend to call him a caveman. I think he's a little bit more advanced than a caveman. But let's see what happens. I'm pretty pumped for this. And, yeah, man, the Canadians always come out. So shout out to Jose. You should go to this fight, actually, man. It's actually not in Montreal. It's in, where is it? In Quebec? Is it? Laval, Quebec. I don't even know where the fuck that is, but it's north of Montreal, apparently. So, Jose, you should go, man. It's a good fight.
Anything else, Kimo?
Anyway, I think that's about it, bro. I think the schedule doesn't really allow us to talk about anything else, so I suggest we wrap it up, man.
Yeah, Kimo, always a pleasure chopping it up with you.
Likewise, brother. It's been a while, so it's good to be back.
Thank you, Kimo. Also, thank you to Jas, who was on earlier, and all the people that joined us in the Mixler chat. I was quite surprised. We didn't really announce it until today, and quite a lot of people jumped in the chat, so props to them. We'll be back on Monday with the review show. Fingers crossed. It's a fight to remember. Thanks again. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the number one flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically burn you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
It feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate. You want one portion of crow or two portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish. Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.